If you look at the screen carefully, you will see ad creatives that spent $100,000. Now, pounds on the screen, but when you convert it, $100,000. And I'm gonna give these exact strategies to you today. I'm also gonna rank them in how I think they're executed. And then in today's topic, we're gonna look at how to make creatives that you can then develop in AI that are gonna be really good to scale through the new Andromeda update. This is what we've figured out that works so far in a lot of the accounts that we manage. And so far, we manage accounts all over the world in a lot of different niches. So today we're focusing on lead gen accounts. The next video that we will talk about is a little bit more e-commerce, but the main thing you need to understand is that we do things a bit differently. As I did research for this video, the main type of video I found was that most people talked about how to make the perfect creative, what is the right font, what is the right angle, what is the right type of UGC, AI, whatever bullshit. And the main problem with that is that the Andromeda algorithm is made for small incremental testing, not long shots. And that's the main problem with the philosophy of the creative first model, which I'm quite opposed of. In my opinion, data comes first to anything else. And this is what I wanted to point out, that you shouldn't go all the way crazy with developing these creatives, but have small hunches that you confirm through testing. So the main thing you need to understand is that what we had before was a musket. And then as the Andromeda update came out, that musket became a machine gun. Now, if you try to use a machine gun as a sniper rifle, it ain't gonna work. So this is what I'm gonna teach you today, and I'm gonna show you the exact templates of the ads that we use and that you can recreate in your own accounts today. So let's begin. The lowest categorized ad is the D list, and are basically ads that are focusing on different types of benefits. So if you just started out your business or a new service or a product, you really don't know what is going to be the thing that actually grabs their attention, drags them into clicking, and actually resonates with them into taking action. You as the business owner often can be biased, and that's one of the biggest problems. So even if you have a lot of cool ideas why somebody would buy from you, you need to verify that and make sure that that sticks. So that's the first thing that I try out with a lot of different accounts, and that's the most basic ad that we launched just to feel out what resonates with the target audience that we're going after. Besides that, we also try to test out different types of call to actions to figure out what kind of benefit with the call to action is going to make the person click and react. You also need to take into the consideration that all of these ads are for types of businesses that are not that exciting and not that crazy. So actually going through the noise is difficult because historically businesses like these have really low click-through rates. So figuring out how to break through the noise is going to be a really important thing for this business and the business owner itself. So if you check out these creatives here, all of them have different elements behind them. In this one, we are just testing a lot of different small background elements with a green checkmark list. And as you can see here, you have tap to learn more, and we're testing a lot of different angles with like click now, sign up now, stuff like that, because in different types of situations, people are going to resonate to different kinds of pressures. So we're going to test out what kind of benefit is going to activate them, and as well, what kind of nudge or call to action is going to make them actually do the thing we want. Now, the next ad we have is franchises, and we're testing out a lot of different angles here. So this template, you can just swap out a lot of different texts, and then if you can imagine Andromeda model, you can have 50 different benefits here and 50 different call to actions. The main thing for you as the business is to understand what is going to make the person resonate with the best, especially if you're a service-based business or selling something like this. You really need to figure out what is going to be the hook that gets people in. And these ads are the type to test because they're nothing really crazy. They're not going to scam the person into clicking. So you can know for sure that this sentence that you just showed in front of them is something that actually moves them into action. And then these are, again, the same thing over and over again in different angles. The main thing I wanted to show you here is so you understand how these can be executed. You can have a lot of text, you can have a smaller text, you can have big text. I really suggest that you test out all variations, and these are what you call your testers. So this is what you can go crazy on. You can have crazy ideas, you can have the ideas you think are going to for sure work, and then just through this is going to be your first layer of testing with Andromeda. So the C tier is basically what we derive from the D tier and then try to make it a little bit better, a little bit punchier, a little bit eye-catching, a little bit more refined. So the first thing that we look at is core benefit. What's going to be the core benefit that drives the person to the action we want? Second thing that we want to add is some kind of visual aid or disruption, because that's going to help us then actually make sure that they're going to engage with their eyes the things that we're showing them. If we just smack a lot of text in front of them, most people are gonna skip away. And as well, our offer is a bit more refined and defined, so we will be able to pitch them the offer as well in this tier. So you can imagine we ran some ads and now we know that what moves the needle. Is it going to be 60% on energy bills? Is it going to be the fact that they can transfer the employees to the United States? That's some of the things that you need to figure out to know before you put here, because if you just put something like best read forever, best lawyer in the States or whatever, you're not going to get any results. So this is why you want the Andromeda update and test it out to figure out what is the tone, what is the angle, what's the kind of copy, what is the offer. All of these things need to be aligned perfectly for what the customer wants. Otherwise, your ad results are not going to be good. These two examples are more how you cloak ads. So basically, as we refine the message that we have, we want to get even more creative at tricking people to read, because most people are experts at evading ads. And then because of that, we need to figure out a message that's going to resonate with most people, and then try to trick everybody at least once into reading it so we know that they're aware of our existence. The reason why we're stealing old movie covers from like 80s, 60s, 70s, 90s is because these target audiences are a bit older. And then, as you can imagine, for most businesses, you won't be able to use best price guarantees, but in cases you can, you should test them out as well. And then, as you can see here, this ad came because we thought about what is the most common franchise. So if you're into buying a franchise and you're like 60, 70, 80 years old, and you see that most of them are gyms, you're going to be discouraged. So hitting on that is going to be the way to go if you want to sell a franchise. That's not that. Off to the next tier. With the B tier, we're more refined with the emotion. We exactly know what we want the person to feel when we show them this type of ads. So we generally know the look, the feel, the tone, and now we're just trying to refine which one is going to give us a little bit better results. These ads are usually, as you refine them, good enough to stay on for a long time. But the core key principle that you need to think about is the messaging in the ads. The messaging is more important than the ad. You can have the most creative ad, and if the message is dumb, nobody's going to take action. So you're going to see a lot of award-winning ads that didn't achieve actually shit, but they were really creative. And then you really want ads that are actually going to change something in your P&L. So again, just because this is nothing really crazy and creative doesn't mean it doesn't get a lot of the job done. So here we exactly know the emotion that makes the person move. In some cases, going to be fear. In other cases, going to be greed. In other cases, going to be happiness, benefits. You don't exactly know, but at this stage, you really figured it out through just iterations and testing. And then as well, you want to add a bit more content, subtext, so that person understands it's just not an offer. You have a little bit more outside of it, so that person can do a bit of research as well. And I love to try using recent events to add that context into what we can. So if there's any Super Bowl coming out or something like that, you can always try making something that's going to look like that, because most of the time there's going to be a lot of content regarding that specific topic. And as you can see, most of the job of you as an advertiser, especially creative advertiser in this case, is going to be to trick the person to actually read the thing they didn't want to read. Basically, if you trick them into reading an ad and they don't realize on time they're reading an ad, you did a good job. So with this ad, if you noticed it does look a lot similar to the ad I showed you at the start. But the thing that we did figure out with the iterations and testing is that one of the things that gets people driven to actually sign up as a franchisee is them with the car, with their tools, and actually being a guy that goes out, does his work, nobody messes with him, and is his own guy. And this stand in front of the truck that they have is actually a thing that resonates with a lot of guys, and they sign up, and this is one of the key aspects of their angle. That's the life they want to live. So prominently displaying this and just getting better at this is the way that we went with, and it resonates really well and gives really good results. And now for a lot of ads like these, this is an ad regarding a recent event where they're changing some tax codes. So basically it's going to be much more expensive for you, and then that's another reason why we push them. Like, it's going to be more expensive, you really need that money back. And then we also had a couple of other angles where we're focusing on companies that know they have an old reefer, so we're kind of agitating them towards that. So you can imagine, like, if you're a business owner and you saw this, it would kind of nudge you towards, like, yeah, let's solve this before we have to solve this. it could get expensive. And as we talked about context, we have here two different examples of joint pain and what's happening behind menopause, where any woman that's going through that is going to resonate a lot more and is going to be much more open to taking in the content that we're showing them. So basically this ad is doing what we wanted to do. The person is breaking their normal pattern behavior and going to the website we want them to go to. With the A tier, you need to understand that we're getting to the point of refinement now. So these ads are kind of depending on you knowing what's going to move the needle. So visual hooks only make a lot of sense if you know what you're going to write there, because if you trick the eye into reading the text but you wrote something stupid, it's still not going to work. It just doesn't matter. At the same time, because you've generated enough results and probably some customers, you're also going to be able to understand what makes you stand out compared to your customer. So having some bland ads where you're just showing your product compared to your competition and where you excel and stand out is going to be a way to go as well. So as you can see here, we refined the messaging that we talked about in the prior iterations of the ads before. So you can see how this blimp here has a message and this traffic sign also has a message. But the problem is, if the message was something dumb, it wouldn't work as an ad. So this is one of the points you need to figure out. If you have a good message and a good offer, this is going to work for you. But if it's dumb, it's not going to work. So that's one of the reasons why you want to test out. In the next one, I'll show you exactly how it looks when you do a lot of different variations and iterations, especially through AI. And this is now us versus them type of ad, where you can exactly show what is the difference, what is the cost, what are the benefits. And I know that some people came to me and said that these ads don't work always for them, but here's the thing, they always work if you have the right things written here, or if you know what the person actually cares about. If you just written something that you think is really cool, yeah, sorry about that. And the last type of ad that I'm going to show is basically what we call camouflage ads. There's no way for you to actually figure out this is an ad until you get to the point of reading halfway through. The main thing you need to take in with deep consideration is that people don't like getting tricked with dumb stuff. So if you hit the wrong person with a type of ad like this, the chance of them going and hiding this ad from their newsfeed is higher. And it's going to be detrimental to your CPMs, because the more people that report you for phishing, scamming, stuff like that, and the more people that report your ad for being annoying, buggy, and whatever, scammy, the higher the chance of Facebook starting to increase your CPMs or advertisement costs, which is a problem. Second, we are also going to try making some images that are going to look like posts, basically looking something that their friends would post or something that would be in a group. So that's something that they usually read and engage often highly with. So we're going to try hijacking the trust of that format and making them read. And then the last one is that people are generally looking for something always edgy that's going to move the needle, something that's new, something that's crazy. So that's going to be the last one that explains why that one works. Now, the main reason why I selected the S tier and the criterion was that if we manage to scale an ad like this to 100,000, so like a creative like this independently got scaled to $100,000 of ad spend. And I know they don't look crazy, but that's the thing. With enough refinement, with the right message, with the right audience, this ad is going to be everywhere. It's going to be read by everybody, and most people are going to take action. That's the ideal type of ad. So you can see here news cutouts, and you can see that we have multiple different types of versions of this, and you can use AI to make a lot of these. And then when you have this written in the right way, it's going to work. It's going to bring in a lot of good visitors. Then the next one that we're also going to look at is just making it look like a post. So if you go to your phone and open Facebook or Instagram, a post that you would make would look like this. And it looks kind of dumb and whatever, but this is not going to be something that triggers this is an ad in your eyes. It's actually going to be something that you read and then later realize you got tricked, which is kind of the point of it. And the last one, as we mentioned, a bit of that and gore. Everybody expects some craziness or something really bad. So basically, anytime that Meta censors something, that actually brings a lot more attention to it than if it wasn't censored, which is ironic. But that's the point behind this ad. This ad unbelievably works. So whatever you put behind in the blur, if you manage to do it right, most people are going to read it because they're hoping to see something really amusing. So yeah, this is the map of the ads we talked about today. And I hope that this helps you understand how to properly develop Andromeda, because the idea behind this is that as you test stuff, you do it like this. So you have 5 versions of the same thing you want. So you have 5 versions of the ad, in just a little bit of different angles until you get something that works. The right color, the right angle, the right sentence, right offer. So that's why you really love the Andromeda update, because with the 50 ads you can put in here, you can be a lot faster at figuring out which creative works. So if you need any help with figuring this out, or if you want to copy any of the ads but are having any problems with it, feel free to drop that in the comments and I'll respond there. If you watched till the end, thank you very much. You're a legend, and please subscribe.